Anthony Joshua's reaction in the immediate aftermath of his loss to Oleksandr Usyk did make the news, and well, what I have to say about that is Anthony Joshua was very emotional after his loss because he actually did work very hard and he felt he did enough to win. So he took hold of the Ring Magazine belts and the WBA belts and dropped them right afterwards, kind of insinuating something in the mode of it wasn't about the belts. So understandably, Joshua worked hard enough for the fight, but just working hard enough wasn't enough because Usyk worked very hard as well himself. And then Usyk kind of mentioned to him that he is a strong guy, which kind of got Joshua a little bit infuriated, and he replied that he also got skills, not just being strong. And then he went on to ask Usyk that Usyk isn't strong, then how did he beat him? He reiterated that he showed character in the ring and he couldn't understand how Usyk managed to beat him. So this confusion, I think, is going to last a little bit with Anthony Joshua, because he felt he did everything that was asked of him to be able to beat Usyk. But in this case, Anthony Joshua's best was not good enough to get him the win. Yeah, he also made mention of the fact that maybe he could have done better. But here's the thing. If his team doesn't know any better, then they cannot push Anthony Joshua to actually do better. Here's the way it works with life at the highest level. At the highest level of any profession, you have to actually tick every boxes, else you'll be found out. Usyk on the night was able to tick all these boxes only because he has much more years of experience than Joshua does. Joshua needs time or someone in his team who understands the psychology and the science of boxing to actually be able to understand what he could have additionally done to be able to beat a guy like Oleksandr Usyk. Because Usyk's years of experience, Usyk has probably encountered a lot, and then having faced Joshua the first time, he was way more prepared in the second fight. Well, so was Joshua as well. Now, Usyk won that fight, but the fight could have gone anyway. And Anthony Joshua is actually a much better boxer now than he previously was. Way better now than way before the Usyk's first fight. So Joshua looked like a more complete boxer in the Usyk second fight, having learned a lot from the first fight, and then the second fight. It will only help Joshua improve more going forward, and he's going to be a nightmare for anyone else in the heavyweight division. So it's very, very likely that Joshua can reach for the moon, and any other boxer in the division will have a difficult time in a fight against Joshua. Of course, there will always be difficulties going up against an Usyk or a Tyson Fury, but if Joshua gets the right thing done, so understanding the science of boxing properly and the psychology behind the fighters or whoever is trying to face, then he will actually be able to get over those. So Joshua's frustration is actually with himself, and the confusion only set in because he has a lot of questions to ask in order to understand, because he felt he did everything, so he left it all in the gym. He did everything he was told to do in the gym by his team and the psychologists he had and the mental motivators he had. But what he had in hand and the people he had at hand could not give him enough to help him win the rematch convincingly. Joshua is an entertaining heavyweight, very entertaining, so knocking out a lot of your opponents can make you feel overconfident. And this was the situation before his first loss against Andy Ruiz. So it's still possible that a situation, an upset like was encountered against Andy Ruiz happens again in Joshua's career. But if Joshua is able to understand the science properly and understand the psychology behind the fighter he's facing, then he'll be able to avoid that, and he'll be able to actually get over fighters like Usyk or Tyson Fury easier. Joshua is closer now to a complete boxer, and he ticks the right boxes, understanding better the psychology and the science. Then Joshua can still be the best boxer of his time. He just needs to understand this, or he needs his team to help him get a better understanding of this and why he lost to Usyk. Then he will be able to make the corrections he needs and be able to employ the best tactics, the right tactics in his next fight against someone like Usyk or a Tyson Fury or whoever he comes up against that might prove to be a difficult opponent in future.